There we go. There we
That
go.
is completely fine. And to everyone else, I would like to say good evening, ladies and gents.
How are you, Raven? Good to see you.
I'm doing good so far. You mentioned something about the mother who's been forcing a gender transition on this 7-year-old boy. I've seen headlines about it on Facebook, on the internet, and everything. And to this story, there is an analogy that I unfortunately have to use.
Sure.
So there are a lot of rich families. They have children, and a lot of them, they just tend to they treat them like they're prizes, and they treat them as like they're an extension of their reputation. I mean, if you've seen Gravity Falls, and you've seen what Pacifica has gone through as the Northwest heiress, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And, you know, depending on the situation that the child is in, like, say they're having the bell rung on them, or they're just trying to correct them by sex in a way, and that's basically the bottom line, is that a lot of families, they just want to enforce their reputation. They just want their reputation to be expanded, or they just want them to be at a point where they think that they're trying to make them acceptable for a society.
Yes.
And that's how this is exactly it is for that mother of that 7-year-old boy. I mean, that boy, he's 7 years old. He shouldn't be able to know about, like, gender transitions until he's much older. Just let him experiment with who he wants to be. It doesn't matter, like...
Oh, we lost you. I will say, Raven, if you can hear me, that you're absolutely right. I didn't even think of that as an argument. Where they're using, it could very well, and this would be an alleged because we don't have any facts on this. Could be using this situation, the mother could be, as social credit, right, or social capital.
Social points.
Social points, right. I hadn't thought of that angle. That's very insightful. And I would guess that you are probably absolutely right. The psychoanalyst gave her, carte blanche to go down this road. I can imagine that she had friends once they heard about it that egged her on because of the condition we're in, or the societal situation we're in today. And that may very well be part of this story. That's a great angle, Raven. Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, in another way that we can look at this, imagine seeing a guy. Imagine like a girl seeing a guy like in their lives, and that guy is under the assumption that the girl that is seeing this person every day is his girlfriend. And so the guys try their hardest to, try to impress the girl in some way, or just make them elope in some way. And it's totally just to get, like, nice guy points or whatever. I'm not going to actually say, like, what they're trying to do in order to get from these women, because, well, it's not really exactly appropriate for YouTube or anything.
Kind of a family show.
Yeah. The result of, like, the guy trying to do all these acts, and the outcome is that they mean well, but they're just not doing it the right way. It's either that, or they are not really taking care of themselves, and they're just taking care of this girl that they've been seeing for a while. Yeah.
You could almost classify it as as in the realm of selfishness, right? You have something you want, and you end up doing extraordinary things to attain that which you want. But I think those two scenarios are synonymous in that you could very well be right that they're working into the same sort of premise. And I think Jesse's point was pretty on point as well when we were talking about our generation's being the instant gratification generation is kind of one of those and everyone gets a trophy generation that has kind of allowed that to to germinate and to grow. So it's up to folks like us, Raven, to stop that cycle.
Yeah. To quote Mr. Incredible, it's psychotic. They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity. And that's exactly what this generation is doing today, is that they're celebrating mediocrity and not really celebrating actual achievements.
Yes, and celebrating mediocrity is no way a good path to exceptionalism.
No, if someone is genuinely exceptional, then nobody really pays attention to it. But if one person does something like mediocre, but then they get all the social points that they could get.
Yeah, and they're praised for it. And
exceptional people, they don't get any of these social points whatsoever because they believe that exceptional people, they're just put in the back burner for no reason.
I know. Well, like I said, it's up to folks like you and I, Raven, to change that, because only human beings can change human beings, and I'd like to think I like to think that they putting some of this stuff out there is at least a tiny step forward, but it is a step forward in doing just that. I hope you agree.
Yeah, it's like society's like, I agree. It's like society is like trying to take like 2 steps forward, but in reality, they're taking 2 steps back. Yeah,
and they're not aware of it.
No,
that's the worst part about it. They're not aware of the backward fall that they're taking.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I've said this before, and I'll say, and like people have said this before, but I'll say it louder for the people in the back. 1984 was a warning, not an instruction manual. It's like people are like policing other people for like doing the stupidest of things. Like, that father that tried to stop that gender transition, his mother, she's been trying to police that.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely crazy. It's almost like it's feeling like you're in a Twilight Zone episode or in a Scooby-Doo episode where like the masked criminal goes unmasked and they go, I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those middle-aged kids and their dog.
We all know what that's a reference to.
Yeah.
Well played, Raven. Well played. Well, thanks so much, hon. I appreciate your input.
Thank you so much.
Again, I am heartened by some of the response that I get, especially from you young folks, because it tells me that not all is lost. All right, hon. I got to go. I'm going to close out the show, but again, thanks, and come back and talk to us. You bet.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.